Okay, here we go. I'm Josh Rothkopf. I'm with Time Out New York, and we have an extraordinary group of people here. Let's please welcome them down. First, the writer and director of the film, Trey Schultz, is here. Hey. Sterling K. Brown is here. Taylor Russell is here. Renee Elise Goldsberry is here. Kelvin Harrison Jr. is here. And Alexa Demie is here.
Junior.
One shoe on, one shoe
Kelvin.
on.
You were going to go shoeless for this one, right?
Yeah.
All right. This is such an extraordinary movie. Congratulations to all of you. Really, it knocked us out. Let's start with the writer and director. Trey, I've watched your work evolve over 3 films now. Your first film, Krisha, then It Comes at Night. Did any of you see It Comes at Night? Really super creepy horror film. This guy made it. And now this film. And I also noticed during that trajectory, the films get more and more ambitious, I think as they should. Krisha's about like an intimate Thanksgiving dinner, and then It Comes at Night expands out. It's a post-apocalyptic kind of film. Now this film has this, I think, very elegant 2-part structure. Talk to me about that evolution, your evolution as a writer, and why did you feel like you wanted to tell this story in 2 parts?
Yeah, sorry, it's weird to hear my voice on here. It'd been brewing for a really, really long time, honestly. First ideas of this came before Krisha and before Night. And it was a lot of different iterations, and I didn't know what it was. And then it became Tyler's story. And somewhere, honestly, like after I'd seen Chungking Express, that's when it really was like an epiphany of what the structure could be. And I thought it could be kind of a brother and a sister linked by a tragedy in their family and their lovers on each half, you know? But it kept brewing for a while. I couldn't figure out how to put it all into a coherent story. And I think, honestly, it was living life, living some more things in life, getting to the other side of some things. And for whatever it is, that all kind of clicked into place finally, you know? The story is very personal. Most personal film I made. A lot of autobiography. That it kind of starts autobiographical, then goes to fictional narrative, then comes back to autobiography. That's like kind of the whole movie. Yeah, and I think it was going through some things in my life, family stuff, my beautiful girlfriend, and honestly, I think meeting Mr. Harrison Jr. on my last movie, all these things kind of clicked into place, and yeah, now we're here, yeah.
That's amazing. I'm just going to push you a little on that. When you say autobiographical, since we've now all seen the film, can you be just a little more specific? What is
He
it?
did not do the garage.
Not to say, right? Or maybe he was into wrestling. I mean, what is it? What was?
I still have the scars right here on my shoulder there. Yes, the wrestling, that's kind of just the jumping off point. It's a lot. You know, starting with Tyler, the wrestling, the couples on each half of the film are very much inspired by my girlfriend and I's relationship over the past 8 years. The family was inspired by my parents and my family. Goes on and on. I live in Florida. Everything in Missouri is autobiographical that we kind of recreated, which was very strange. Yeah. And you know, a big jarring difference is I'm a white dude and it's a black family, and that's
which in and of itself is worth exploring. But here's a general question for the cast, and you are all so extraordinary in this movie. I get the sense that if you were presented a script that just had the first half, wouldn't be as interesting, or if it just had the second part, it wouldn't be as interesting. Is there something about this story having kind of a redemption and a sort of a movement to a second part that makes it more attractive for you? Anyone, please.
Yes, for me, as a matter of fact, when I first read the script, first of all, I was like, all right, who's this brother named Trey? Just thinking he's black, because his name is Trey. And then I looked him up, I was like, oh, snap, this dude is white. But it was, the first half of the movie, it feels like this roller coaster that keeps climbing and you can't get off, and you know something's about to happen, you know what I'm saying? You find yourself like holding your breath. And then this tragedy transpires, and when I read it, I was like, don't know if I want to see a movie where a young black man takes a young woman's life, you know? Like, there's enough fear of black men in this country as it is that I don't know if that's another image that I want to put my face and voice behind. The second half of the film, I feel, is incredibly redemptive to see Emily as she struggles with what her brother did and the impact that it had on her life, find that place of forgiveness and that release, to see the father go through this place where he was very, very hard and very forceful on what he thought should be his son's trajectory, and to have a moment of sharing where it was like, I need you as much as you need me. Like, we need each other. It's not about what I say goes, but like, how do we make it through this thing together in a real way? Yeah, if it was just the first half, that would be hard. And I know some people are maybe stuck with the first half and like, I don't know if I was able to get through to the second half. And that's okay, like that happens for some of us. And that was a major fear of mine. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do the film was because I had this conversation with Kelvin. And I said, hey, bruh, like, this is a big swing. Like, I know that this is an artistically fulfilling thing to do something different and that's challenging, but once you do it, it doesn't belong to you anymore. Like, it kind of belongs to the audience, right? And like, how people receive it, you have to be able to let them receive it as they do. And he was like, yeah, I hear you. He's like, but it's a good part, right? And I was like, yeah, bro, it's a good part. And he said, well, should I not do it just because I'm black? I was like, oh, you hit me. That's a tough one. And so, like, the fear that I had as an actor looking out for this dude was sort of similar to the fear that Ronald, the father, has for his son. And I had to do it because my fear was legitimate and I wanted to protect him. You know, I want this father to protect his children. Like, you're talking about a man who lost his wife to drug overdose, found another beautiful woman to share his life with and to help him with these children. But once that fear is there, like, the tendency to hold on that much tighter makes sense to me. And I've had people come up to me and be like, I hated you in this movie. And I just say, namaste. Thank you very much. It wasn't a matter of being liked or whatnot, but as long as you understood, like if you understood where he was coming from, I'll take that.
I think it makes a lot of sense what you're saying in terms of it being a group commitment.
Yeah.
Everyone is committed to this ambitious material. Kelvin, you've now worked with Trey on 2 films. Can you tell us a little bit about how he directs and what's special about this filmmaker that makes you want to be committed to this guy's work?
He's like, you better say nice things about me. I have so many nice things to say about Trey. I think it's, you know, right out the gate, I was so nervous. My first like big role in a movie was like It Comes at Night, and Trey was so nice and so relaxed and so comfortable. I mean, he makes movies without his shoes on. I mean, that doesn't happen.
I didn't know that.
I get yelled at for it, too.
And he became like a big brother to me in a lot of ways. And in the process of like reading the script and you know, him offering me the part and saying like, I want to tailor this role for you it just really got me closer to him because he was such a great listener. And he was like Sterling always says, he's egoless. And I think it takes a lot for someone to kind of go, well, you know, I have this idea of what my upbringing is like and what this story is, and this is my version of it, but I believe in you, race aside, to be in this part, and I will take the time to ask you questions and hear what your upbringing was like and what your relationships with your dad and your sister, and what was it like growing up in New Orleans in the South and being a young black male in America? What does that mean to you? And to hear it and then see it on the page so beautifully and so pure, I was like, that's so rare. And then you immediately kind of walk on the set and you just go, I trust you. I trust you because you love me, and you've proved to me that you love me and that you believe in me. And so I just don't think I ever get that opportunity. So we all walk on set with so much love and respect for him and in a safe space so we can play. And I think, I mean, I don't know. I'm just grateful.
That's really well put, and absolutely. It's worth stressing
I
though
love y'all.
this is not your typical director-actor collaboration because given what you've said about it being autobiographical, given what you've just told us about how he tailored the role for you, I get the feeling like this is a story that you had that you shaped around Kelvin and then around this entire cast. Can other actors please tell me a little bit more about how you were able to enter into the writing, enter into the part creatively? Is there something that you remember from the shooting, something where you felt like really unencumbered or you felt like you could be who you wanted to be?
Well, yeah, for all of it, basically. I mean, from the beginning when Trey said I had the part, it was a really beautiful collaboration, just like Kelvin said. I mean, there were a lot of conversations always if something didn't feel right, or Lucas and I had so many different meetings with Trey about the scenes, and there was a lot of ad-lib that was allowed to happen. I mean, he basically just followed us with the camera the entire time, and we didn't even know we were filming for most of it, which is really special, right? Because you don't get that often where you're on a set and you're not aware that it's a close-up or that they're saying, okay, now we're going to block the scene and then action and all this stuff. It just felt really organic the entire time.
A lot of trust for an actor. Just you're constantly in character.
Yeah.
He's just going to shoot. You're just going to go.
Yeah, so much trust. I mean, he kind of gives you the role and then is hands off after that. And you could freak out if you have an experience of that sort, but instead what kind of happens because you feel like held by your directors, it just allows you to come into your own as an actor more than you thought you could have.
Was that the same thing, Kelvin and Alexi, with your half in the beginning?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, Trey, like most of the time, I think Kelvin and I we were yelling at each other for most of it. So we were really unaware that there was ever a camera around. And even when we would, our dialogue from the script would finish, Trey would keep rolling and just let us go for it for as long as we wanted. And I came into the script last, and just upon meeting Trey, felt complete comfort, and I felt like I could really be as vulnerable as I needed to be in front of him, in front of Kelvin, and it was really, really a special experience.
It doesn't. Renee, you were going to add something there, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple things that he did that were really helpful. For me personally, he actually put me on the phone with his mother, who is a therapist. He was like, so much of this role is her, and so I would love for you to just talk to her. Here's her number. Don't tell her what happens, because he didn't want to spoil the experience for her. But he was like, just free reign. I mean, I could literally say, how would you say this, so that the jargon was accurate. My mother actually is here right now, and she's right there. And there's my husband right there. Shout out. So, we bring, like, with our, in our relationships with our husband, with our children, we bring so much of that to the roles. Another thing that he really did that was so helpful was the location of shooting in Florida, with the climate, the humidity, shooting in an actual courtroom in Florida with a judge that was a judge, shooting in an abortion clinic with a security guard that was a security guard in an abortion clinic. These are things.
That dude could act.
They were wonderful. I mean, can you think of any other examples like that?
The paramedics.
The paramedics, the church. And the actor, it wasn't his church, but the actor that was playing that role was actually a preacher, and Trey was like, go. And if they I remember talking to the judge and the preacher, they were slightly nervous about shooting a movie. And I was like, first of all, you're here because he trusts you. There's nothing that you can do that's wrong. You are an expert on what you do. And so your presence is helping us and informing us. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, that's true for us too. Do you know what I mean? That's also true for us, and that's really how he treated us. There wasn't a lot of note giving, really, and he really did disappear we were in this beautiful house of a family that was around all the time with his actual cats. That cat that's like over in the corner, like these are their actual pets. We would like spend all this time in this place and in this room, in this house, and they would just disappear like in the woodwork. And then we would just play or fight or cry or experience something, and then they would just say, do it again. And we would just do it a number of times while they figured out how to shoot it, right?
Yeah.
And then we saw the movie. And we were like, oh my God, you're crazy brilliant. You know, I actually learned a lot seeing the film, because I'll be honest, sometimes when we were doing it, I'd be like, I don't know how this is gonna be good. Only because there's not like traditional coverage. There's not like, okay, now we're doing the close-up, now we're this. No, they literally disappeared and let us live out these moments, and it really translates.
And I think it pays off for us too. I mean, we notice the attention to details. I feel like your story is very universal. I think that anyone who sees this film is going to know a story similar to this, especially regarding the drugs. In your view, Trey, is there something specific about it being in Florida? I mean,
Yeah.
What does that add specifically? Why is it?
It's a good question. I think there's a lot of reasons. One is I think love's a big part of the movie, and I'm in love with Florida. And there's a cultural specificity to it, you know, and the landscape, the look. I mean, everything in this movie would not be what it is without that. And then there's a lot of little, like where we shot in Broward is where my girlfriend grew up. Like the dance is literally where her high school dance was. And the manatee place is real. That's my favorite place to go with her. You see a manatee every time.
So the manatee thing is your thing, really.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I love manatees.
This is actually a question for all of you, but this is something that critics notice, but there's a really signature shot in this film, this swirling camera. Right? And you're seeing this in the beginning of the film, and it's a happy moment, and the camera's swirling around the car, and everyone's having fun. Then we see it later on in the bathtub scene where he's sitting there with a cheeseburger and the camera's swirling around. And then we see it later on in the second half of the film in another car trip. And again, the camera's circling. So first, to the director, and then maybe to all of you, what it's like shooting those kinds of scenes with a rotating camera. But from your point of view, what does that shot mean? What does that grammar mean?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, that age, the two places that were mine that no one could mess with were my room and then my car once I got a car. And then your car with the person you love is the most freeing, beautiful place, you know? And to me, Ty and Alexis, they have, their love is like a bottle of fire, like... they're just a ball of energy, and they're incredible. And to me, emotionally, how Ty's feeling in that moment, how they're feeling together, a camera spinning around is the only way to feel that same sensation, if that makes sense. It's a little crazy, it's a little dangerous, but it's beautiful, you know?
It means something totally different in the bathroom.
It does. Well,
like spiraling.
In the bathroom, it's not a full 360, but it is another panning thing that's recalling that. And I think the interesting thing, too, I think when we recall that later in the movie is Emily and Luke are at a similar stage in their relationship, but I think there's a lot more melancholy in it because of everything else we've gone through, you know? We've all this tragedy we've seen, you know, the good and the bad. And Tyler and Alexa, it brings back them, but they're not in this moment now. It's new people. And yeah, there's something to me about life, how it kind of works like that. It works in those loops that circle back, and new things have new meanings. So yeah, I just kind of, all camera movement in general everything's in service of the character, you know? So at first it's Ty and then it's Emily, and it's all about this subjective emotional experience. But in this movie too, with two halves, it's like the yin and the yang. It's the two halves that make the whole. So anything in Emily's half, you know, especially something like that, we're thinking about how it's circling back to Ty, but what this new emotion and this new state you're in, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I think every director should link the grammar like that to the characters. Is shooting those scenes difficult, or were you picking up on these kind of cosmic vibes that he's talking about?
Yeah, so cosmic. But you know, when you read the script, you look at it, and I remember telling Trey, I was like, these kids are having the time of their life. I never had this experience in high school, so I can't wait to do this. And I was like, so when you finally get to set and like you're with Alexa, and she's just everything. She's iconic. She's just so much fun. And so we get to like, I'm like, I would never get the privilege of like putting my foot out of a car and like driving
That
a
was
monster
real, by the way,
truck.
and very dangerous.
Yeah,
Like, real driving.
don't do it. But like getting to be able to play that way and really encapsulate what it meant to be that age and to be that in love and that crazy and that free, right?
Yeah, it feels like you're the only two people in the world. And it's not difficult because we're just having the time of our lives and the camera's just spinning around us and we just keep driving up and down this bridge. So it was actually one of the most fun scenes.
That was
for
also
me.
our goal. Like any fancy cameras, like we never wanted to get in the way of the actors. We never wanted it to be in service of the wrong thing. So like even that, like we're setting up. Drew, my DP, is operating from another car, and me and a grip are hiding in the back seats and pushing. But like we're setting it up so they can do their thing, and then us get out of the way and figure out how to dance with them and document it right. So
You did it right. Let's take some questions from our crowd right here in the front.
Thank you for being here. This open to everybody. What was your best moment while filming this movie?
Alexa and I had a really amazing moment. The scene with us in the bathroom, we kind of ad-libbed that scene and asked Trey if we could do a scene together because there wasn't really one. And so we had watched the movie Persona by Ingmar Bergman and fell in love with it. And then we wanted a moment between two girls. And so we were kind of brainstorming what that would look like. And Trey facilitated that, and we thought we did the scene in ad-libbed, and we were like, gosh, it's gonna be like, we were so dorky, like it's not gonna be good at all.
How's this gonna work?
Yeah, it's gonna be so bad. And you know, it's in the movie, and that's a testament to Trey, to how open he is as a filmmaker, you know. But that was a great moment for us, and we love working together, and it's just nice to see them interact.
Yeah. And right before the transition, it feels like an energy exchange, and then it transitions into your part, and you kind of take on this new energy too. So it ended up, I think, meaning a lot more than what we even intended. We just wanted a scene together.
It was like a pivot.
Yeah, it was really special. Thank you, Trey.
Yeah, thanks, Trey. We love you.
That's literally like my favorite scene, and I just learned that right now. I can't believe you just read that. That's like my favorite scene in this movie. I'll slip my answer in. It's hard to choose because every moment was so satisfying and so enjoyable to do. I was like giddy. I mean, before the hardest, craziest, most emotional scenes, I was like giddy. I was so excited to work with them. So if I have to choose a favorite moment, it will probably be watching it, because I got to see that, which I was nowhere around for. It had nothing to do with me, but it was so beautiful and so much. I guess you get to learn as an actor when you watch the movie what everybody else is doing. And honestly, I actually learned kind of what we were doing and what it meant with the work that you did, Trey. So I'll say my favorite moment was just seeing it and receiving the gift of it. It was really beautiful.
On the first day of shooting, we were in the diner when we arm wrestled each other. That wasn't in the script. And it was just something like, you want to go? Let's go. And Kelvin was like, yo, you feeling froggy? Jump, partner. And like, I love watching like Renee and Taylor's faces. We just moved crap off the table. And they're like, what are you Negroes doing? And we just proceeded to like go. And I loved like his face because he's like, I'm about to take the old man. Like, this is the day that I become a man. And I was like, when you're ready, partner, let's go. And it was like, he was so game to play, and I was waiting for him to cut. Like, I knew he was gonna cut at any moment, and he let it go all the way through to the end. Then I knew that I was gonna be on a set where I had the freedom to play throughout the process. That was cool. Yeah.
Let's take another question right here. Yeah.
Well, I have lots of ties to Florida, so I want to know, can you really swim with them?
yes.
Where?
My girlfriend's gonna kill me because she wants to keep this place a secret. The place in the movie. What? Okay, yes. Okay, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but yes, you can go Wiki Washi that's in the film, literally with the mermaids and everything. You can rent a kayak there, and you're bound to see a manatee. Like the manatee we filmed was just a real manatee out in the wild. You
Like
can't
a
touch them and
baby
harass
one.
them. It's against the law.
It was a baby and a mama,
was a
and we
baby and a
got
mama
out.
in there.
Lucas, me, Drew, our cinematographer, and Trey. We just got out of the kayak, like jumped out and swam upstream with them.
Yeah.
It was the most magical thing that's ever happened to me.
They're the best.
Crazy.
And the babies, you can hear how they talk because the parents you can't hear underwater, but the babies, they have a different frequency and they squeak. They're just like, sounded weird over a mic.
Let's take a question from the back. I see. Yep. Yeah. You.
It feels a little bit like a really sophisticated Christian film. Can you talk a little bit about that aspect of it?
So I grew up fairly Christian. My stepdad's dad was a minister. My biological father went through some bad period in his life and a bad patch and was sort of born again. And I grew up around that stuff a lot. And as I got older, I wrestled with it more. I'm probably now very spiritual, agnostic, but believe in it and believe in whatever's your way is the right way, and whatever brings beauty and light in your life. And so it kind of really surprised me, myself, as I was writing. It organically came out, and it felt right for these characters. And I think it's certainly there. And I think it's another part of the mirroring between the preacher in the beginning half of the movie and what he's talking about, and the beautiful scene between Sterling and Tay at the lake and what he talks to his daughter and what his father talked about in that scripture. What I hope is really beautiful about the movie is if you are Christian, I think it is a Christian film, and I hope you feel that message. And if you're not, but you're spiritual, I hope you feel that as well. Because I believe, it's a message of love and forgiveness and healing. And so I think that's really beautiful. Thank you.
For me, I don't know, the movie, taking on this character is tough every day to carry with me, but I think the most comfort I felt throughout the movie was the scene with Renee and I on What a Difference a Day Makes, which is such a brief moment in the movie, but it's a longer scene. And she has a beautiful voice, and just hearing her sing that and being able to sit in the car and just like listen to her, and it reminded me of something, and I couldn't remember. And then when I told my mom, I was like, oh, well, there's this song. She was like, why are you listening to What a Difference a Day Makes? I was like, I don't know, we did it in the movie. And she's like, I used to sing that song to you when you were a kid. And I was like, that's why this is so special, and that's why this movie, and it goes back to like Trey's just having conversations and listening, and this universal truth of just like these moments were just there, and it was just, I don't know, it was perfect, and it made me so happy, and you're so wonderful.
I know we have time for one more question. Yes, right there. Yep.
It was so universal. First time in my life in an American film, I didn't see black actors with white actors. That's all American.
So my humble opinion, and I hope each audience has a subjective relationship watching the movie. I believe as a black audience member, it is about a black family, and it is nuanced and specific. I hope but then I believe to a non-black audience, it's universal as well, which I think is beautiful. But for us, this became a black family because of Kel, because we wanted to make a movie together, and because I love you and you're my brother. Just getting emotional talking about it, but
we did picked this role.
Yeah,
he picked
this role. Yeah, he could
have played either role.
Yeah, and we felt a responsibility to make it about a black family and the nuance and complexity of that, But ultimately, I'm still a white dude, and I put my own experience in it. So clearly, you're looking at me. But that is why I believe that's why you're saying what you're saying, because it is. I hope it's very universal. But then, I believe it's a very subjective viewing experience. I hope it's universal ultimately in movie.
Subjective and very rich. Let's thank our guests. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Please tell your friends about Waves.
Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much.